The other part of that is I like going home. And if the people of Virginia want to send me home when this race is over, I like going home. But they're not going to get someone who changes to try and win the race. I haven't done that where I live in Fairfax. Leaving me as the only Republican out of 10 in Northern Virginia, and probably the most conservative to go to Richmond in the state Senate anyway from Northern Virginia in my lifetime. That leaves me covered by the Endangered Species Act up there. So, and my leadership on the Second Amendment issue, near and dear to Clinton, I know many others, polls 4-1 to the negative in my district. I'm not doing it to get votes. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. And I'll do that every time as best I can figure out what the right thing to do is. He also pointed out quite correctly that I am not perfect. Though I won't wander into the religious question. We could be there a long time. But, you know, the best I can do on any given issue is run a decision through the same filter I've run every other one through. And it starts with founding principles. All of my races start with foundational principles. And if you want to boil down what I think the Republican Party ought to be, what I think our campaigns are based on, it is that one, it's a slight tweak on that one most famous sentence in the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. It should be property. It was a political document, and they knew slavery was going to continue on. They couldn't put property and liberty in the same sentence if they were going to do that. But if you look at the history of the documents they were looking at and the study that those folks had done, phenomenally well-read group of individuals, the Founding Fathers, it should have been life, liberty, and property. Can you imagine what they would think of our government today? How far beyond that have we gone? How far beyond that? Much less well-known part of the Declaration of Independence is the next clause. It is for these purposes that governments are instituted among men, to protect the gifts from God, life, liberty, and property. And we need to get back to those kinds of limits in government. And I'll tell you, outside the Republican Party, I run into more people this year. I've been involved 18 years every year. Been a precinct captain, been a recruiter for my local party, done a lot of different grassroots jobs. I've never seen so many people showing up and saying, I've never been involved before, but fill in the blank. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. And they do not step up and say, I'm a Republican now. What they really say is, we're going in the wrong direction. And these are people, very interestingly to me, who are better connected to founding principles than most of the general electorate that's been participating in this process for a long time. They're reaching back to those timeless principles and comparing it to the direction we're taking, and they understand in their gut that this is not the right way to go. This is not American. It's not. And Ronald Reagan used to say that he relied on the wisdom of the American people, that that's where the last great reservoir of wisdom in America was. And that's what we're seeing. They don't have to be able to even articulate their connection to founding principles, but Ronald Reagan's long ago comment, I'm seeing it on the ground one person at a time. People are stepping up and saying, I can't sit back anymore. This isn't acceptable. And some of them will articulate the aspects of it they don't like. Overwhelmingly, it has to do with explosive government. Just blowing the doors off anything reasonable or in some cases, constitutional. And that's what we need to fight back against. And let me If I leave you with only one thought about the Republican Party, it would be this. If we're not going to defend the Constitution as it was written, if we're not going to defend property rights, which are not in the Constitution, by the way, if we're not going to defend life, and if we're not going to defend families, and if we're not going to try to limit government, there's no one left to do it. There's no one left to do it. It's us or nobody. It's us or nobody. And that's part of why I ran for the Republican nomination, is I think this party needs that kind of leadership that's committed to those principles. Winning or losing. Winning or losing. The reason I'm so dangerous to liberals is I'm willing to lose. I'm willing to lose. But I'm not willing to sacrifice those principles. That's not an acceptable course for me. And we have based all our races on those foundational principles. Now, they're timeless principles, which is part of why they apply today as much as they applied in 1776. The Founding Fathers knew what the foundation of this country needed to be based on. That's why they acknowledged that life, liberty, and property were gifts from God. Man can't take that away. Government can't take that away. We've got a government that's trying. We've got a government that's trying. And we need to be those who carry forward the founding vision in the 21st century. That's what I try to do in the state Senate. It's what I'll try to do in the Attorney General's office, but only with your help. We've got to get there. But I'm telling you that this year is the best year I have ever seen for educating ordinary voters about these principles. They want to hear them. They want to hear them. The ground is fertile for this sort of political evangelization. And if we don't take advantage of this opportunity, we only have ourselves to blame. The opportunity is there. Now, that doesn't mean you go argue with every single person on the street. There are some people who still haven't figured out what change is, but they hope it's coming. You know, I saw a great bumper sticker the other day at a fundraiser we had. Nope. With the big Obama O. Oh, it's beautiful. I love simplicity. I love simplicity. And it is amazing how much buyer's remorse there is out there.